In this video, I've got something about Rashida Tlaib and the Ethics Committee, and then I've also got a couple of letters that you need to see from Congress because they ended up being a little heated. So stick with me, folks, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and guess what? Yeah, Rashida Tlaib was investigated by the House Ethics Committee, and they unanimously ruled that she did violate campaign finance law. Here's the article from Daily Caller. Here is the actual document. And let me show you, first of all, what the table of contents is on this. It's a 30-page document here. And so here's the table of contents because, like I told you, with these documents, you can always kind of get a good overview of them if you just go through the table of contents. So, of course, they've got to lay down all the background information here, and that she received a salary from the campaign, and it was supposed to be too much, more than she was supposed to. So the findings and conclusions, and here they have information. And then let's go down to the actual conclusion here. Now, before I read this conclusion, I want you to remember that the House is under Democrat leadership, okay? And Tlaib is a Democrat. So keep that in mind, all right? So this is the conclusion of the committee. A congressional candidacy can be an incredibly expensive endeavor that only a few individuals have been able to successfully execute. Remember, if you were with me with the video about CHOP and Chaz, whatever it was, this was one of their demands, that they make it so anybody who wanted to could run for office, and that money would be no object in that case. And because right now they feel like only rich people can run for office, which is in a sense kind of true. But of course, that's what they want, so they can get more working class people in there that don't really know what's going on in the world, I guess. Anyway, so goes on. The FEC has attempted to ease some of the financial burdens associated with this endeavor for those candidates who may not have the resources to forego a salary to participate in a campaign by allowing them to receive a salary from campaign funds. Representative Tlaib's 2018 candidacy fit within this category. She did not have the resources to relinquish her salary from her full-time employment without also receiving financial assistance from her campaign. The committee recognizes Representative Tlaib's good faith efforts to comply with FECA's candidate salary requirements, which included seeking legal guidance before receiving campaign funds. Representative Tlaib also chose to receive a monthly salary that was significantly lower than her legal threshold amount. Nonetheless, her receipt of payments after the general election, though conservative in comparison to her legal threshold amount, was inconsistent with certain FECA requirements. Although the regulations on candidate salary payments are complex, they reflect a recognition that such payments create a heightened risk of unjust personal enrichment. The committee recommends that all candidates who believe they will use campaign funds to pay themselves a salary seek early and ongoing guidance from the FEC regarding the salary requirements. Additionally, to avoid questions about the legitimacy of certain payments, such as back pay or deferred compensation payments after a primary or general election, the committee recommends that candidates contemporaneously memorialize such arrangements to clearly reflect the intent and terms of the agreement, and consistent with the purpose behind the FEC's reporting requirements, publicly disclose the agreement in the appropriate FEC reports. Which is why if you donate to any political party, your name is stored on the FEC site and people can access that. While the committee recognizes that the campaign environment can, at times, lend itself to hurried decision-making, as a member-elect of Congress, Representative Tlaib had a greater duty to ensure that any funding she received from her campaign after her general election was fully compliant with statutory requirements and fully transparent with the public. Based on its review, the committee determined that Representative Tlaib did not comply with the letter of the relevant laws and regulations governing her receipt of salary payments from her campaign. The committee did not find evidence, however, that Representative Tlaib intended to unjustly enrich herself and recognizes that she made efforts to ensure her compliance with the applicable requirements. In light of this, the committee determined that no sanction was merited, providing Representative Tlaib returns the funds that she improperly received to her campaign in full within a year of the date of this report, with the understanding that she can make smaller payments over the course of the year. And so, the committee unanimously voted to adopt this report and take no further action. Because she didn't mean to. It wasn't her fault. She didn't mean to. She had no intent. Yeah. Okay, so guess what? I've got another email to send to another member of Congress. Evidently Jackie Walorski, who's my representative, is on this committee. So I think I'm going to let her know something. I do understand that there are a lot of different complicated rules, and maybe a lot of people don't understand this, but when you get into a campaign, there are a lot of specifics that you have to follow, that you can't use this money for that or that money for this, or, how it's spent is supposed to be very strictly guided, which is a good thing. And it could be very easy for somebody to mess up, especially if this is your first time. But still, her entire personality just kind of reeks of, you owe me something, so I'm going to get what I can out of this. So do I believe that she had no intention of enriching herself? Nope, don't believe it. But, that's my opinion. Anyway, let's go on. This came out today, and I really wanted to share this with you because check this out. Maybe some of our GOP senators are starting to get a spine here because they accuse Schiff, Pelosi, Warner, and Schumer of knowingly spreading disinformation on foreign intel. Well, I should say these two particular ones are known for having a spine, and they've been working on it, but they actually made this more public. This is Ron Johnson, who is from Wisconsin, and Chuck Grassley from Iowa. And Ron Johnson is the senator in charge. He's the chair of the Homeland Security, I believe, Senate Homeland Security Committee. And Chuck Grassley right now is actually kind of the head of the Senate, but he's also the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. So these two have really been working hard, and you've seen my previous videos that they've done different letters going back and forth trying to find out information. They were the ones that were trying to find out information about Blue Star and Burisma and all of the different connections going on with Ukraine. So they've been digging very hard at this. Okay, or at least they've been trying to. Well, they sent a letter to these Democrats saying, you're spreading disinformation. Now, you've got to get the full picture because back here, this was on July 20th. The Democrats asked FBI for counterintelligence briefing on concerted foreign interference campaign targeting Congress and the 2020 presidential election. Because, they're really worried about Russia. Yeah, Russia. But they don't want to say anything about China, which is very interesting. And so, yes, what they're going to do, this is Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, and Mark Warner. Pelosi as the Speaker of the House, Schumer as the minority head in the Senate, Schiff as the chairman of the House Intel, and Mark Warner is the ranking member of the Senate Intel Committee. So those are the four that joined forces in this. And like I said, this was back in July 20th. Well, actually, July 13th is when they wrote the letter. And so this is to Christopher Wray. It's pretty short here. We write to request that the Federal Bureau of Investigation provide a defensive counterintelligence briefing to all members of the House of Representatives and the Senate regarding foreign efforts to interfere in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Now, keep in mind the concept of psychological projection, because whatever they accuse us of doing, whatever they accuse the Republicans of doing, they're already doing. Okay? So, does this tell you anything? That they want a briefing, a defensive counterintelligence briefing, because they are worried about interference in our election. There's reasons to believe that they may already be meddling with foreign countries to try to swing this election, which is not out of character for them. We are gravely concerned, in particular, that Congress appears to be the target of a concerted foreign interference campaign which seeks to launder and amplify disinformation in order to influence congressional activity, public debate, and the presidential election in November. Given the seriousness and specificity of these threats, as members of congressional leadership and the congressional intelligence committees, we believe it is imperative that the FBI provide a classified defensive briefing to all members of Congress, and that the briefing draw on all source intelligence information and analysis consistent with due regard for the protection of sensitive intelligence sources and methods. Why didn't they do that for Hillary? She needed that. Due to the ongoing nature of these threats, we ask that the FBI provide this briefing prior to the August recess at the earliest possible opportunity, and that your office outline a plan for the briefing by Monday, July 20th. We appreciate your prompt attention to this important request. And there they are, the four of them, okay? And they included, notice this, an addendum. Well, the thing is, the addendum is, they did send a copy of this letter to Ratcliffe, Haspel, and Nakasone. Okay, so they did send a letter to that, but the attachment was classified. And they did not send it to a couple of very important people. And guess who those important people were? Yep. The team of Senators Johnson and Grassley, and they're none too happy about it. So this is their response once they found out about it, because they didn't know about this letter right away. Okay, well, they knew about the letter, but they didn't get to see the attachment because the attachment was classified and didn't get sent to them. So this is what they had to say. They sent this on August 4th. Dear Minority Leader Schumer, Senator Warner, Speaker Pelosi, and Chairman Schiff, for at least 1 week before we received access to it, the press reported on your July 13th, 2020 letter and its classified addendum that you sent to FBI Director Chris Wray, raising concerns about foreign interference in the upcoming elections. Although the addendum identifies one of our ongoing investigations, you did not copy us on the letter. See, because it was referring to some of the stuff they're working on, and that would have been common courtesy and it would have been common protocol. But oh no, they didn't do that. In fact, we did not receive access to the classified addendum until late last week. The fact that the press knew more about the content of the allegedly classified material than we did indicates that you are more interested in grabbing headlines and scoring political points than actually addressing and confronting the issue of foreign interference in our elections. Oh, they nailed it. Yeah, Grassley had his hand in this. He's really known for doing letters. If you've not read some of his previous ones, you need to. They're great. Your misplaced motives aside, the substance of your letter and addendum also grossly mischaracterizes our investigation in an effort to shoehorn it into the false Russian disinformation narrative you have promoted for years. Although it is undisputed that Russia interfered in the 2016 elections, as they have done in the past and will continue to do in the future, you have twisted this fact beyond recognition to forge a weapon for the purpose of attacking your political opponents, no matter its tenuous relationship with facts or the truth. For example, our investigation is focused on Obama administration records from the State Department, National Archives, Department of Justice, other federal agencies, and the U.S. consulting firm Blue Star Strategies, as well as speaking with current and former U.S. government officials. How exactly is this disinformation? Is it the one foreign national we spoke with about his ties to the Obama administration, a DNC operative, and Blue Star Strategies, a prominent Democratic consulting firm? The only relevant disinformation we are aware of are documents that you referenced in your letter and that your colleagues have introduced into our investigation. For example, your letter references a document created by a Ukrainian national that mentions our name along with other Republican senators and administration officials to suggest falsely that we might have received information from this individual. Liberal media outlets have picked up that reference clearly from a leak, even though we've not received any information from that person, including tapes, and we both have publicly and privately stated as much. Thus, it is you, not us, who have participated in the spread of disinformation. They're just going at it here. We have neither sought out, relied upon, nor publicly released anything that could even remotely be considered disinformation. Insofar as foreign adversaries seek to exploit actual political differences, a nuance of disinformation your letter and narrative fails to appreciate, your press-ready letter, like that, that's a dig there, your press-ready, because they knew they were writing it just so it could go in the press and cause all this. Your press-ready letter likely has been more successful than any Russian troll farm in amplifying our political differences on this investigation. Far from promoting Russian disinformation, our investigation is focused on uncovering the facts concerning what did and did not occur so that we can put these matters to rest. Finally, your allegations also ring hollow in light of your long-running hypocritical conduct on this issue. Since 2016, you and your colleagues have promoted and amplified the false narrative that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. However, as more and more information finally sees the light of day, we are learning just how wrong you were. And not just wrong, but knowingly wrong. And I highlighted that because knowingly, when you do it and you don't know that you're passing on, bad information, as I've said, that's misinformation. But when you do it knowingly, you know it's false, and you pass it on anyway, that's disinformation. And that's where you get into legal trouble. Yep. So, and not just wrong, but knowingly wrong. You push this false narrative even though behind closed doors you repeatedly saw and heard evidence to the contrary. For example, in April, we sought and received declassified versions of footnotes in the Justice Department Inspector General's FISA report. Among other things, those footnotes revealed that the FBI received reporting in January of 2017 and February 2017 that parts of the Democratic National Committee's and Clinton campaign's Steele dossier were part of a Russian disinformation campaign. In March 2017, Chairman Schiff literally used the platform of his committee to read parts of the Steele dossier, i.e., likely Russian disinformation, into the congressional record and political narrative of the day. For years, you have publicly used the dossier as a cudgel to achieve your political ends at the sacrifice of domestic peace and tranquility. Your recent letter is a chip off the old block. Well, look at all the footnotes. Yeah, they like to footnote them. That's always good. It is certainly our goal to eradicate foreign influence from our elections, but your use of this issue to knowingly, again we get that word knowingly, and recklessly promote false narratives for political purposes is completely contrary to that goal. Your letter and its targeted leak to selected liberal media outlets do more to amplify Ukrainian voices than you assert are engaged in disinformation and results in more alleged disinformation being inserted into the congressional record and public record than if you respected the serious work of our committees. One must question whether you are truly concerned about disinformation given the vast amounts of it that you have pushed into the public square. For these reasons, we are happy to call for continued briefings from the FBI and intelligence community as we enter this election season. But those briefings must account for all foreign threats, not just Russia, to ensure Congress sees the full picture. We also call on you to stop playing political games with this issue. It is simply too important. I'll tell you, these two guys, yep, they're at the front lines and they're fighting. They're trying to get the truth out. They're trying to find the truth. And they are working on it. It's just the Democrats are not making it easy. And we still have a few people that are withholding documents somewhere in the FBI and the State Department and possibly other departments. But yeah, they're still trying to work at it. And they're being tenacious. Chuck Grassley is definitely a tenacious man. I think that when his term runs out, I think maybe he has 2 more years, and when his term runs out, that's going to be his last term. So, he's trying to fight the good fight all the way to the end. So he's just decided that, he's getting up there in age. So anyway, that's what I got for you on those different documents. But I wanted to also share a couple of tweets with you just because they fit in and everything. How do you like this one from Richard Grenell? Now, he's actually responding to this one by Hugh Hewitt. And he says, just played this audio. It wasn't one gaffe. It was 3 major. What did he say in one call? He's talking about Biden here. If Donald Trump had uttered one of them, we'd be in full endless soundbite loop. As it is, see if Sunday shows spotlight it or try and minimize. And then here's the link to it. So if you click on this, you'd be able to see the link. And if you haven't caught that, yeah, Joe Biden had another foot in mouth day. And, just like every interview he does, he says something. So this is another one he's been saying. Anyway, this is what Richard Grenell says. Every Democrat friend of mine says Biden is imploding. Democrats have gone too far left. Defunding the police is scary. The cancel culture must be stopped. The media bias is out of control. People are waking up, folks. They really are. And that's an encouraging thing. It should be an encouraging thing to us. And it's very likely because of the cancel culture that a lot of people aren't going to tell who they're going to vote for because they're scared that if they say Trump, their lives will be destroyed. So it's going to be an interesting vote. That's why it's a secret vote, right? And the last thing I want to share with you, this is kind of a fun one here. Jim Acosta said this: before a news conference, Trump was caught on a hot mic telling people at the club, "You'll get to meet the fake news tonight. You'll get to see what I have to go through." Who's there? Oh, all my killers are there. Wow. So you'll get to see some of the people that we deal with every day. And for some reason, Jim Acosta thinks that's news. And so this Raheem Kassam says, Trump just got Jim Acosta to report that Jim Acosta is fake news. So, it was great. I mean, you need to click on this, on the Jim Acosta one, and read some of them. Because they are classics. I mean, well, there's mine. Yes. And it's 0 days without publishing fake news. But yeah, go through some of these because they are classics. It's great. So anyway, that's what I've got for you on this one. You can laugh at Jim Acosta all you want. I don't know what he thinks is bad about that, because Trump would gladly say that in the microphone, and he probably already has. So why would he think this is something that's out there and it's like, oh, he was caught on a hot mic telling people this? So I don't understand. Anyway, so that's just a little bit of laugh at the end. Sometimes with Jim Acosta, you just gotta laugh. Well, he's not really a reporter. He's actually an actor. if you go to the International Movie Database or whatever that is, you'll find his name there. Yeah, and it says he's an actor. So there you go. You may not have known that. His real name is Abilio, or it's actually Abilio Acosta. So, yeah. So anyway, that's what I've got for you on this one. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.